All right, welcome back to Meet Me in the Basement. We're in for episode 43. I do just want to start off by saying we've been getting a lot more traction on the channel, so thank you guys if you've been tuning in. I will just ask if you could subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. I see that about 70 to 75% of you guys aren't subscribed that are watching, so if you like it, you want to keep watching, let me know that by subscribing to the channel. Anyways, let's move on. We got a gigantic fight week. Dustin the Diamond Poirier, it's his last chance. He's going for that undisputed lightweight championship against the monster Islam Makhachev. We already talked about it a little bit, but let's get into it because, like I said, it's the Diamond's last shot, and we're all pulling for him. Like, I don't want to see Islam lose. I'm not saying that. I'm not an Islam hater. I'm not a Khabib hater. But, I mean, if you're not pulling for Poirier, do you even like this sport? Because, like, this is one of the good guys. We all want to see Poirier get that belt one time. Just get his hands on it. No one deserves it more. No one's worked harder. No one's been through the fire more. No one's walked back from ruin more. I mean, the stellar performances he's put on. I mean, we all saw him get knocked out last year against Justin Gaethje and then comes back and takes a fight with this absolute fucking monster, Benoit Saint-Denis, that nobody wants to fight because he's ranked below them and he's knocking people out. What does Poirier do? Goes out there and just puts the fucking lights out. Granted, after jumping about 100 very ill-advised guillotines, but, you know, whatever. That's okay. But, yeah, so that's a huge fight. I'm pulling for Poirier, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. The co-main event is going to be Sean Strickland versus Paul Costa, which we also talked about. I kind of have changed my mind a little bit on this fight, how I feel about it, what I think is going to happen. But we'll see. We'll get into that, too. That's really it for the big-name fights. Underneath that is Kevin Holland versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not 100% sure. Which is going to be a great fight. Don't get me wrong. We'll talk about why that'll be a great fight. But at the same time, that's not a fight that draws pay-per-view numbers. So I think they're really heavily relying off of Dustin and Islam to kind of pull the numbers for this card. Because, I mean, Sean Strickland is huge within, like, the actual fan base of MMA. He's not necessarily, like, to draw the outside crowd from, like, the Instagram and, like, the WWE fans that only tune in once in a great while for the bigger fights. And, I mean, Costa, again, another big internet guy. People see him on the internet, but if you're not really in the circle, he's not someone that just, like, is a household name. So they're really pulling off of Dustin and Islam to sell this card, which, I mean, I don't blame them. They're fucking superstars. No one's saying they're not. But, I mean, for what happened to, like, loading up a card? I don't know. 300 was pretty heavy. I think we're still paying the tax on that, I'll say. With 300 being such a stacked card, it's definitely going to affect how the rest of 2024 plays out as far as big name cards. Even the Chandler versus McGregor card, it's not looking like the most stacked card we've ever seen, which is kind of traditional with McGregor. They tend to put some lower name fights on that card. That way, it kind of, because I mean, everyone's going to watch Conor, so it gets eyes on the sport and eyes on names that maybe people wouldn't have necessarily seen. Okay, that's the rundown. So let's get into the actual fights. The actual fights that are on UFC 302, June 1st. Where is this? In New Jersey, too? In New Jersey? Dude, if Poirier wins the fucking belt in Jersey, bro, that'd be fucking sick, bro. He's not from Jersey, and neither am I, but that'd still be fucking sick, bro. So, yeah. Poirier's got a chance. I'll say that. Not a great one. I wouldn't bet the house on it, but he's got a chance. A way better chance than he did against Khabib. Khabib is going to go out there, and the first thing he's going to do is dive at your legs, and he's not going to stop diving at your legs until you're on your back. That's not necessarily the case with Islam. Islam is going to play the striking game. I mean, especially he just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, who's a striker. He knocked him out with a head kick. He's got to be feeling himself. I know I would be. I'd be fucking through the moon, Alice. To the moon. I'd be fucking all over the place talking about I'm going to knock everybody out, and I'm the new kickboxing champ, too. Fuck him, like... Yeah, if I'm Islam, I'm riding high on my striking, and I wouldn't blame him. But Poirier could catch him. I mean, Islam does a lot of, like, the fucking duck to the uppercut and duck. Like, it's one thing to slip an uppercut and slip and hook. Islam is, like, throw his entire body to one side and then whip the, like, punch in super telegraphed. So, I mean, he's gotten a lot better. I will say, obviously, knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. But he does still leave himself a lot of openings, and someone who's just got that crisp lead right hook, like Poirier, where it's southpaw versus southpaw, so that's going to put that lead hook to the open side of Islam's guard. That could be some trouble. That could be some trouble. The only thing, too, like, one thing Poirier does that it works well for him, but I think it could cost him in this fight, is when he throws, so he's southpaw, he'll throw like a jab, jab, cross, and then as that left cross comes through, he'll step into orthodox and follow with another right. Well, if he does that against Islam, Islam's either going to grab double underhooks and trip him with the inside trip and take him right down, or he could even potentially duck under and get a single leg and pull him to the other side. I mean, that leaves a lot of opportunities for Islam to take him down. And if Islam gets him down, dude, the tightest arm triangle I have ever seen was Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. I mean, Charles was tapping before Islam was even close to passing the guard. And this is Charles Oliveira, jiu-jitsu black belt, who, like, is unstoppable on the ground. If anyone was getting out of that arm triangle, it was Charles Oliveira, and he did not stand a chance against that thing. Not only that, my favorite submission of all time is the Kimura, and, like, the only time I've seen it hit in recent memory in mixed martial arts, not straight jiu-jitsu, was Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker, and again, one of the most disgusting submissions. He broke that fucking arm off and took it home with him. Like, that was crazy. He's just so fucking powerful and so tight with his technique. Like, he doesn't leave any open space for anyone to move around. Like, there's just nowhere for you to go, nothing for you to do, nothing for the bone to do but snap in fucking half. How Dan Hooker didn't even tap. That's the craziest thing ever. He was literally like scratching his own head from the wrong side with his arm, the way Islam was bending it, and he still didn't tap. He protested the stoppage when he stood up, but I mean, dude, that arm was fucking gone. So right on the referee for stopping it, because that was not going much longer than that. So, what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to see Islam Makhachev with a probably pretty dominant performance. But, there's always a but. Anything could happen. And I'm telling you right now, if Dustin Poirier starts landing that lead right hook on Islam's chin, oh man, things are going to get spicy in the lightweight division. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I'm not going to be the guy that's out here talking a bunch of shit, saying that Islam's going to get knocked out just for it to be another dominant performance, and then I got to eat my words. I learned. I'm better than that now. I don't bet with my heart, but there's still a chance. So, let's leave it at that, and let's move on to the co-main event. Okay, with that being said, we're going to move on to the co-main event. Mr. Sean Strickland, former middleweight champion, taking on Paul Costa, perennial middleweight championship challenger. Yep, said that right. I'm getting better, too. Less stuttering. I mean, I might have to slow the sentence down mid-sentence and kind of think before I speak, which is a crazy thing. Who thinks of doing that? But, anyways, this is going to be a good fight. We already talked about it a little bit. I think it was last week's episode. It might have been the week before. Either way, we talked about it. I've kind of changed my mind a little bit. At first, I said that I think it's going to be a tough night for Sean. Not because I think that he can't take Paulo Costa, but because I don't think that the judges would score that fight for Sean if Sean wins the way that Sean would want to win. And what I mean by that, Sean loves the point fighting for, like, the majority of the fight. Like, yeah, if he has an opponent hurt, or if he thinks that he can just tool on you, then you'll see him start fucking winding up and throwing crazy, heavy, long combos. But for the most part, Sean likes to work off his jab, work off his teep, keep that Philly shell boxing style, and kind of just pick away at you. Pick away at you. Pick away at you. Judges don't like that. I mean, we saw that when Sean Strickland fought Jared Cannonier. We saw that it didn't work out well for him and the judges, even though a lot of people, myself included, saw him winning that fight. It didn't work out for Calvin Kattar against Josh Emmett. Rob Font, he's had a couple of fights that were pretty close, and he was using his jab a lot, and he was doing more of the technical boxing at a distance, and they gave the fight to the guy throwing the higher power that wasn't necessarily landing as clean. So we see how the judges, which is crazy, because like these judges come from boxing. Like, they're all boxing judges. And then when someone fights in that boxing style, the point fight style, where they're just tooling them up, like every championship boxing fight that they give to these guys, and then they score it the other way when it comes to MMA. Like, what the fuck do you want? I don't understand. Anyways, let's move on, because it's not about the judges. That is how I saw this fight originally, was Strickland landing the jab, landing the teeps at distance, but Paulo winding up and landing big bombs on the shoulders, and maybe Sean guarding them and missing, like not really getting hit on the chin, but them impacting the judges' scorecards pretty heavily. So I thought that, like, if it goes to a decision, they're kind of likely to give it to Costa just because of the impact of strikes, whether they're landing or not. But, having had a week or two to think about it, I am kind of on the fence now, because, like, I've thought about it a little bit, and you see the guys that shut down Paulo Costa aren't the guys that hit real hard and have like crazy knockouts or anything like that. It's the Israel Adesanyas. It's the Sean Stricklands that can just touch him and frustrate him and touch the belly and keep him at a distance and touch the leg. Like, if you can do all these annoying fucking things to Paulo Costa, he's going to get frustrated and he's going to kind of... I'm not going to say quit because the guy's a fucking secret juice champion. You know, like, he's not going to quit. But he will get frustrated, he will get flustered, and it'll make him hesitate when he's going to throw. So if Sean can make Paulo Costa hesitate, then it is a wildly different fight than I initially expected it to be. Because if he can make him hesitate, then Sean's going to start feeling that confidence. And Sean's going to start feeling that time to put the pressure on. And that's when Sean's going to start throwing those crazy fucking looping combos that just go on for days against the cage. And I mean, that's a dangerous game to play against a guy like Paulo Costa, because Paulo Costa will play possum a little bit and cover up and then just fucking swing an overhand right when you get too cocky, when you get too close. So Sean could get caught that way. But, I mean, this is kind of a 50-50 fight the more I think about it, you know. I'm kind of leaning Sean because I think it's better for the division if Sean wins. Not that that matters, like, the better man wins, and that's what's important. But, like, I do think it's much better for the division because, like, if Sean beats Paulo Costa, then he still stays right in that top contention. Because I think, yeah, he's ranked number 1 right now, and Paulo Costa's number 7. But Costa's a big enough name where that will placate Sean's position in the division until the next title fight. If I'm not mistaken, I think it is going to be Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya, which is a fight we should have had like a year ago, but it is what it is. So if that happens, then no matter who wins, Sean has an in for a title fight, because the DDP loss where DDP became champ against Sean was super close, and another one of those fights that we were talking about where Sean was kind of point fighting and a lot of people thought he won, but the judges gave it to DDP. And then, I mean, Sean versus Izzy, biggest upset of all time. So no matter who wins in this fight versus DDP versus Israel Adesanya, it doesn't matter because it's still an awesome story for Sean Strickland. Anyways, so if Costa were to win, Izzy tooled the fuck out of Paulo Costa, and he's still ranked number 7. Yeah, he would have just beat the number 1 guy in Sean Strickland, but if you're coming 7 rankings up and you got to fight a guy in a rematch that you really didn't look like you belonged in the first place, I don't know, it's going to be much harder for the UFC to give him a title shot, so they'd be more likely to book like a rematch between DDP and Izzy no matter what happens than they would be a Paulo Costa fight versus Izzy if he won, or a Paulo Costa fight versus DDP if he were to win, because he may not have lost to DDP yet, but if DDP beat the shit out of Strickland and beat the shit out of Izzy, not saying that he did or will do either of those things, but if he were to have, the UFC would not really want to put on a fight between DDP and Costa, which I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't pay $80 to see that. Because, I mean, if that's the case, the way that they've been doing these cards lately, that would be the only big fight on the card, and I'm not paying $80 for that. So, hear me now, Uncle Dana. I'm not paying $80 for that, so don't even fucking try it in a year and a half. Huh. So, moving on. We have Kevin Holland, who is ranked number 15 at middleweight, even though he hasn't fought there in quite some time, versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying it even just the same way that I said it earlier, because, I mean, at least, if I'm going to be wrong, at least I want to be consistent. So hopefully, I've been saying that the same way. But either way, this is a big make-or-break fight for Kevin Holland, and we'll get into why. Let's take a look. So Kevin Holland's record, he's coming off the loss to Michael Venom Page, loss to JDM, Jack Della Maddalena. His last win was a Darce choke against Michael Chiesa in 2023 in July, so a year ago. But, I mean, it was 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses, and a no contest. And then we go back to 2020 where he had that incredible win streak. But he's been up and down. I mean, he's taken the tough fights. No one's saying, like, anything bad about Kevin Holland. It's just that, like, he's in a tough spot right now. And this guy that he's taken on, Michal Oleksiejczuk, is... And this guy that he's taken on, Michal Oleksiejczuk, is honestly just so tough. I mean, he's kind of a 50-50 fighter himself. He's had some ups and downs, but I mean, he's got a really, really tight boxing guard. He's just run it down your throat, in your face type of fighter. He's got that style where he's coming forward, bobbing back and forth forward, looking to counter. One thing I will say about Oleksiejczuk is, I believe it was in the Chidi and Jikawani fight, Chidi threw like either a body kick or a teep. I'm not sure if it was a roundhouse or a teep, but either way he throws it, and Oleksiejczuk with the fastest overhand counter I've ever seen. Like, typically an overhand, like it's a really powerful punch, but it's a little on the slower side, it's a little on the telegraph side. This was fucking lightning McQueen, my bro. This was like fast as shit. I've never seen an overhand left counter so fast. So he's definitely got some fucking lights out potential. In that Chidi and Jekawani fight, Chidi hurt him bad with a left high kick. Or no, it was a right high kick because Michal is the southpaw. But yeah, hurt him bad with a right high kick. Almost looks like it's going to be lights out. Chidi and Jekawani's going to walk off with a TKO win or a KO win. Nope. Not today, sir. Oleksiejczuk fucking clips him right back, has him on ice skates, and fucking wins. Comes back and gets a knockout win in the first round. Fucking insane. That's toughness right there. Like I said, he was open, but that's toughness. So let's take a look at some more of his fights. That's how he won. In his most recent fight, though, we should probably talk about that more. In his most recent fight, it was a loss to Michal Oleksiejczuk, and that was not so good of a loss. He took a fucking fat right hook to the body, and it really, you saw him stop in his tracks. Oleksiejczuk is, I'm talking about, stop in his tracks, grab his gut, and just, oh man, Michal Oleksiejczuk starts putting it on him, huge body knees, and eventually gets the back and fucking chokes him out. It was rough. It was a fucking, I think it was in the first round too. It was a rough loss. So, like I said, he's an up and down guy, but when he wins, it is fucking impressive, because this guy, he's got some power, he's got some speed. He's not afraid to get hit. He's tough as fuck. So Kevin's really got to be on his guard. Kevin can't come in there looking to play around and looking to talk shit and looking to communicate with the commentators and do all that stuff that he likes to do. Like, I know that's fun and it's why we love him, but this is not the fight for that, my brother. This one, you got to buckle down, you got to bite down on your mouth guard, and you can't give him 1 second where you're not focused. Because this guy, like I said, he's beatable, but he is also able to put the fucking lights out. And I mean, lucky for Kevin Holland, like, he does have quite the fucking chin on him. Like, there's almost no one tougher than Kevin Holland. I mean, I know Wonderboy's older, but if you look at the Wonderboy fight, like, Wonderboy was hitting him with wheel kicks and fucking knees and straights and, oh my god, round kicks and just fucking hitting Kevin Holland with everything in the kitchen sink. But, like, I mean, he looked a little hurt a couple times, but not as much as you would expect after someone just took fucking 17 spinning heel kicks to the fucking temple. I'm swearing a lot. I'm sorry. I'm not a professional, guys, so don't hold it against me. But, I mean, tough as a motherfucker, so who knows? Kevin might be able to eat the shots. If he can do that and he can just stay in Oleksiejczuk's face, Kevin's got some fucking nasty body work. He's a body snatcher himself, so, I mean, he could get him with the same, especially if he steps in knee. Oh, man, it could be a short night for Michal Oleksiejczuk. Yeah, it could be a short night for Mr. Polish name. So, I'm rooting for Holland. I don't want to see Oleksiejczuk do poorly and get cut, because, I mean, he's not ranked, and he's going up against Kevin, who's 15. I don't know, man. This is one of those fights where it's like, I don't want to see anyone win or lose, because Oleksiejczuk's fun to have around. He's got some skill. I could see him having some potential in the future. Kevin Holland is one of the most fun guys to watch. He's one of the best guys, even in press conferences and fight weeks and in the media scrums. He's so much fun to watch. He's a great guy to be a fan of. Everyone loves Kevin Holland. In fact, Joaquin Buckley, who, while is impressive, I've always kind of disliked Joaquin Buckley because he's kind of a disrespectful person. He's always talking shit about people that he has no right to talk shit about. In his latest move, he's talking shit saying that he could knock out GSP, and Kevin Holland immediately comes out, man, you couldn't even beat me. How are you going to beat GSP? That is fucking hilarious. That's just Kevin Holland accepting where he is. He's like, bro, I'm way down here compared to GSP. GSP's way the fuck up here, and I knocked you out. So what the fuck are you talking about? No way. Dude, GSP would fucking wrestle fuck the shit out of Joaquin Buckley. Whatever. I don't care. Either way, I'm rooting for both guys. I'd prefer if Kevin Holland wins, because the last thing I want to see is Kevin Holland get cut. If Kevin Holland gets cut, it is a sad day for both welterweight and middleweight. That's the other thing, too. If Kevin wins this fight, dude, I don't care. Fucking stay at welterweight. You have way better of a shot at becoming a champion at welterweight. There's still a shot at welterweight. You could potentially take on Leon, dude. Like, there's guys at fucking welterweight that are favorable matchups for him. I'm not saying the Leon fight is, but there's top guys at welterweight that are favorable matchups for Kevin Holland. There is no one in the top 5 that I would favor Kevin Holland at against middleweight. And I am not looking at the rankings, so, I mean, he could even potentially have a win over someone that's in the top 5, and I could be talking out of my ass, so forgive me if that's the case. But either way, way better shot at 170. He said he only went to 170 for the BMF. Fuck the BMF, dude. Like, what are you talking about? And if you keep doing what you do, they'll just have a BMF fight for you, because that's the way it works. It's not a belt that gets defended. Like, I know it was recently defended, but that's a weird thing. They'll do a BMF belt if you deserve a BMF belt, no matter what is going on or what division you're in. So fucking buckle down, stay at welterweight, and get into title contention, because I would love to see that from Kevin Holland. I mean, what he did for us during the pandemic, that man fought every, 3 months during the pandemic with no crowds, beat the shit out of everybody, took fight after fight. I think he fought 2 weeks in a row at one point, too, during the pandemic. This is a guy that has put his all into this sport, and I want to see it pay off for him. So, like I said, stay diligent in this fight against Oleksiejczuk. Get back down to welterweight, and let's see what you can do, Kevin, because I'm still pulling for you. I'm still rooting Big Mouth. Let's go. All right. With that being said, meet me in the basement, episode 43. We're wrapping it up. Again, it's a short one because my partner fucked me over once again, so that's cool, but he's going to come by later on today, and we're going to film some training videos for you. So I would like to start doing a podcast episode a week, and then maybe a clip from the podcast later on, or a training video or a fight breakdown at some point on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during the week. That way we could give you guys 2 videos per week. We'll see. Again, let me know in the comments what you guys think of the card. Let me know in the comments what you think of the episodes, how we've been doing, any suggestions, what you like, what you don't like. I love talking to you guys in the comments. We've been seeing more of that lately, so I really appreciate it. It helps with the traction, and like I said, I like to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments. Love you guys. Episode 43. We're doing the damn thing.